Never stop chasing your dreams.
And never say never.
Good.
So it is just us today.
It is just us, and it's good because I feel like I like having this little wrap up, as summer starts winding down, and we've had a Pride season,
Yeah,
so so yeah, I think it's
totally agree.
yeah, it's good. We've had some good folks on,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
especially during Pride. And
We're going to have some interesting best ofs coming with that because we had some really good guests
yeah,
this summer and this year.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
totally.
So I wanted to talk about a couple of guests that we've had, that I would say, I don't want to use the word change maker, but I like impactful
Yeah.
guests that we've had. And I think number one, right off the bat, we got to talk about Susie Fox
Oh yeah, yeah.
from
And I made part of that. I had to leave, but
yeah,
uh,
first of all, she runs the radio stores, and they
mhm.
are, as a matter of fact, I just bought a shirt from them today, and it says,
Ah,
"I understand the assignment." Because it's been a big week. It's been a big couple of weeks in the state. And I know that you don't know any of this. None of it.
ah.
None of
I
it.
have to ask you about politics. What's
Right.
happening here?
So so Joe Biden had a really bad debate, and the whole country turned on him. And so I think what happened was we all started getting mad at Democrats. We were just like, oh my God, they're turning on Joe,
I
and
do not know. Right, right,
so
right.
So then I think what happened was we were all kind of like, they're a little bit right. They're a little bit right. Like, can can he lead for another 4 years? Can he go through a
Yeah.
campaign cycle? Like it was all on our minds, but nobody wanted to be disrespectful. So we were
Hmm.
taking our rage out, on the Democrats and the celebrities like George Clooney that were saying stuff. And I think we figured out that maybe there was some truth to it, but I think he did too. Like
Yeah,
I think Big Joe did too, and I think that what he did was when he came down with COVID,
that
uh,
was it.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was in his beach house in Delaware, and he summoned his top ranking, advisors, and I think he said, "Show me the data, like show me the polls." Help me get a feel for what people are thinking and saying and how they're feeling. And I think they laid out all the data in front of him, and he said, "Well, then I got to do this. I got to step down, and I got to turn everything over to Kamala, and let her re-energize and unify the party, because there was little to no path of victory for him, no matter how
Yeah.
you looked at it. Because, and I know you don't get this, but there's states that have a lot of delegates, which helps in the electoral count, which is ultimately what ends up picking our leader,
Right,
even though
right.
the
Yeah.
popular
No, I
vote,
do.
right? So
I mean, I do actually know some of this because you can't avoid it. It's totally unavoidable. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I think that if he didn't get COVID, he was like adamantly saying, I can do this. I know this job. But then I think once he got COVID, maybe like what you're saying, I didn't know that part that when he was down and out and not feeling well in his beach house,
yeah.
and he called everyone to say, what are the stats? What's the data? What are people
What's going
saying?
on? Like
I
what's
think he
happening here?
slowed down enough then to
Yeah,
really look at it.
yeah.
And,
I think he was he was honest enough to be able to say, I need to understand, what the situation is here, and not just, he kept answering phone calls from like Nancy Pelosi, and
right,
these people saying, step down, Joe, step down, Joe, step
autopilot.
down.
You get defensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
you
he
know,
probably got defensive, but
I
you
think,
know,
yeah, he was upset, but
but
I think that he's smart enough to know that, there's a reason why, this was brewing, and he just needed to know what it was.
Yeah.
And the fact was that Americans, were voters were uninspired. Voters weren't feeling it,
Yeah.
and Gemma and I, we were just sitting here yesterday, and I said, I think I'm going to try and stay awake for Biden's Oval Office address, talking about why he stepped down. And she was like, well, what could he possibly say? Like and I'm like, well, it's not about, I think I just want to hear it from him. I just want to hear it from him. And I said, I think it would be so awesome if he just, like, when the camera came on him, if he just put on the aviators and said, how'd you like that move? You know, 'Cause, I mean, when we have somebody that's done the research like Susie did and sat here and explained to our UK listeners, voters, viewers, what was at stake. And she did the work, you know what I mean? Like, she did the work. She read the manifesto, um,
Yeah.
and laid it all out for us as if we were 12, so we all understood it. And I think that an advocate like that makes an impact in your community, and
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of people. You're going to see a lot of LGBTQers coming out, for Kamala. I know she's got a call tonight at 9, and you had to pre-register for it and, to be on the call. So Wilson Cruz put it out, another big, gay icon, putting his weight behind Kamala and doing what he can to get people registered and inspired to vote and all that. So I think, when people are impactful like that, especially when it comes to our community, it's up to us. Like, I want to feature them. I want them to be on the
Mhm.
show. I want their voices to be heard by however many handful of people we can reach out to.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I I think that's, like, so important. So a huge thank you, to Susie for everything that she does. And that was episode 177, if people want to go back
Because
and have a look at that.
that's not her main jam. Like her main jam is
Right.
she's a clothing designer,
She's
right?
great.
That's
The business
more or
owner,
less.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that again, like, wow, that's incredible. And then there's people like Kenny Fitzpatrick that we talked to just recently. Kenny was show number 180, and what he's doing for queer musicians.
I loved Kenny's energy. I love his energy and the fact that he's putting the spotlight on people who it's very hard to get a spotlight on with all the people out there in the industry when you
Giving them a
get
voice, giving them a platform, getting their music
platform
heard.
for independent music is just so amazing. He did a show with my music and he
Yeah, he
featured
said he was
it.
gonna. He came through. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I need to put another post up because it was played the next day too. I couldn't reach it the first night. I don't know why, but I'm sure it's there. I think once it's there, it's out there,
Yeah, he
right?
said that. Yeah, he did say that.
So,
It might be through the community radio station, but yeah, you can probably find it. So yeah, I think, people like Kenny from the Q Review. It's a huge undertaking. He's one guy, and he puts out a call,
yeah,
to send him music, and then it's his responsibility to check it out, and get it played and get it heard and do the promo. And my God, that's a lot of work for one person.
tirelessly does it and
Yeah,
does it
he's so
great.
passionate, right? Yeah. So
So important.
it's absolutely incredible. And of course, we got to mention Aria Bells. I mean, geez, come on.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
love her. I love Aria.
Yeah.
She
Well,
uh she really does her homework too.
yeah,
You
another
know,
one. Yeah.
on
Puts
that
the effort in. Yep.
does all the work for you if you don't know much about it or if you don't have the time to look into it, you don't know what to watch with
Right.
lesbian content.
Right. And she just kind of curates it, but she keeps a list. Like,
She
she's got
keeps
a spreadsheet of everything.
saying, yes.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And again, not her job, you know.
Yep, not her job. but she's got a great speaking voice. She's got a great way of explaining. She
Yeah,
tells you her opinion, but it's ultimately up to you if you want to watch it, to ship the movie, and if you're going to enjoy it. But she's just really, I when I found her, when I came across her page, I was so excited to get her on the show
yeah, yeah. I
because
remember that. And I checked
yeah,
her out. And I was like, you know what I like about her is that she's so prepared. Like,
yes,
you
yes,
know how hard it is, to make a reel, but
mm,
to know what you're going to say ahead of time and have that all composed in your head and get it out there quickly. Because I mean, she really does know how to summarize stuff. You know,
yes, yes.
it's like a gift. You know what I mean? It's like an absolute gift that she is just sharing with our community on the regular,
Yes.
whenever you want.
I'm so happy we get her back on the regular
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
she's
that's
uh,
great. And we can kind of throw
awesome.
any theme at her and she
Right, right.
boom, like she's got it. She knows it. Referring back to the spreadsheet. No,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
I
it's
was
fantastic.
impressed, and I was impressed with her that she knew the music. I think from Pose, from the show Pose, when we were talking about that show, was I mentioned seeing a Broadway play in New York City called
Kimberly Akimbo.
Kimberly Akimbo, and she knew the play. She knew that the music was
Well,
by the same person that did the music for Pose, right? I think it was Pose. Was it
some of
Pose?
it. I don't maybe some of it. I can't remember, yeah, what we were actually
Yeah,
talking about then, but
some of it. Yes,
she's a theater junkie. So she works, I mean, her regular job is in theater, I'm pretty sure. So
yes,
of course she would know that. I mean,
yeah,
she keeps her finger on the pulse of everything in every different medium,
yeah,
whether
exactly. That was
it's
my yeah,
TV, articles, all that kind of stuff, and plays, which are always so forgotten, you know?
exactly. When we got the tickets to see Kimberly Akimbo, that was not like the thing we were going to see. It was like something else that was there on the list. But it surprises me how many people know that play,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
how that she knew even more about who was the person that did the music for it. So yeah, I agree with you. She really does her homework.
Big
It's
time.
really something that's a passion that she is a gift to the community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And another one that and so Araya, I mean, Araya is on pretty much once a month.
Yeah.
So just to let people know, you can go through all the videos and see like there's a lot from her. So those are
Critter.
always there. I'm not going to throw you out numbers, but they're always there. But one of the ones that I really liked that you found was Kenzie Lee from Portland,
Yes.
Oregon, that has the barber shop that's like all inclusive, and they do a lot of trans men's haircuts. They got the rainbow on the door, and they welcome like anyone. Which the more I talked to her, and the more it dawned on me what an overwhelming feeling it must be for like a trans man to walk into a barber shop and get treated exactly the way that is going to make them feel comfortable and not feel
Yes.
weird and not feel like someone's looking at them and not wondering if this barber knows or if this person's looking at me for a reason or like her staff is incredible, the shop is amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I thought what a great thing that she's doing for her community in not a loud in your face way, but kind of in a low key, it's cool, man, kind of
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
It's cool. Come here, come on in. And her feed is full of the coolest haircuts, the most amazing styles. And,
Yeah.
they're
That's what caught
so,
my attention.
yeah, they're so, uh, just so I think my thing that I got from her was that they make everyone feel comfortable and welcome. It's not a thing for them, and they want you to have that experience because they know, like they get it, they understand, and they understand that you're taking an hour out of your day, and they're gonna make it the best hour because you
Right.
pick them. You know what I mean? They're going to give you all the services you want. And they do a lot of them, not just haircuts. They do all
Oh
kinds of
yes.
crazy
Well,
stuff. They got the stuff for your teeth, like the
oh, the tooth
piercings and
jewels. Yeah,
tooth
the
tools. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and oh, she also pointed out that something I didn't realize, that trans men might need different types of products for their beards
yeah.
uh, than not trans men. So it's like it's just that I found that interesting. So when I saw what she was doing and I saw the really cool haircuts and also the shop, they do kids also, right? I mean, they have a place like it's for the whole family.
Definitely.
And I think that when I saw that, I was like, I got to get her on the show because I think that she's going to be a great guest. And I think that was one of the shows I missed part of, right? Or I
Yeah,
couldn't
because
make.
I was in, yeah, and everything in Florida, that whole trip,
Oh, right.
your internet was just fucked. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was such a good not what I expected at all.
Mhm.
Like not what I expected at all. I mean, she was she's got this very punky look about her, yet she's gorgeous and
Yeah.
so well spoken. And I think a little bit of the icebreaker in the beginning of the interview is we were talking a lot about how much Portland's changed, and she was kind of talking a little bit about that, which was interesting to me. She's like been there her whole life, and it is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
you know so yeah, it was a really really fun conversation, and that was episode 171. But I want to go further back and talk a little bit about Jess Bradley. I don't know if you remember Jess Bradley,
With the families, right?
the Gaby, yeah, the Gaby
Yeah.
Bradley, right? So
Baby. Yeah.
Gaby,
Name.
right, is another person that was just at the top of their game with
Mhm.
information, and again, curates resources for queer families, whether they're a trans family, just a queer family, a same sex family that are in the process or starting the process, middle of the process, whatever, of creating their family, whether it's surrogate, adoption, pregnancy, IVF. It was so interesting to me. And I know that every family or every couple's journey is going to be different, but I love that Scott had every base covered. You know what I
Yes.
mean? From
Yes.
the from the medical side of it to the legal side of it. Um, I found it one of the most interesting shows that we did because he
Oh, yeah. All the
just incredible.
resources are out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was a good one. So that was 157,
Mhm.
episode 157. And again, just a really good source, and making an impact because I think again, it's got to be a little bit scary to take that first step. And I feel like he's there and he's accumulated all this knowledge from his
Yeah.
own experience and from his community and outside of it. Like he really goes, it's not just about where he's from, it's you know um nationwide, I think, you know what I
Yes.
mean, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
There's so
um
much you need to know about that when you get into that subject
I feel like it's never ending. It's
from
never
the
ending.
legal point, the
Right.
legal aspects. So yeah,
Yeah.
I,
And then
and but
once you're there, like once you got a kid, what the fuck do you do with it?
well,
You
does he go that far once you have the kid, or is it about
It was
getting
a
the
lot
kid?
about like, daycare resources and,
Oh,
the balancing act of the roles and responsibilities, as
yeah,
parents and all that. So yeah, it was just like he doesn't just, you know, like the win isn't just being able to have that child. He goes further with it, which I think
far.
it's just amazing to me. So well done, Jess Bradley from Gaby.
Yeah.
That was episode 157. But while I'm looking, I just want to give, do you remember Anthony Narada, who wrote the Skater Boy book?
Yes, 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 yes.
So
He was a
just
too.
got Anthony just got married.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Oh,
And
he had the Skater Boy, right? Skater
yeah,
Boy or
Skater Boy. Yeah.
yeah.
a little twist on the Avril Lavigne scenario in that song or whatever. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I follow him, on social media, and he was so quiet for a while that I was actually thinking about it. I don't know, a week or two ago, and I was like, geez, I wonder how he's doing, because I remember he in February he was going to do a little book tour, and then all of a sudden I just didn't really hear much. And then all of a sudden I started seeing these pictures from his wedding, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. First of all,
Adorable. He's
adorable,
adorable.
gorgeous. His husband is just as
Just as
gorgeous.
adorable, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is
So congratulations from us, Anthony. Um,
congratulations from the Rainbow Remix.
Congratulations from the Rainbow Remix. And I got to point out how much we laughed and the fun that we had with Dana Goldberg.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I just remember that so for people that aren't familiar, what happens is after we record a show, JD takes the video and she edits it, and she puts in our little theme and our ending, and she cuts out any coughs or sneezes or farts or get ups or interruptions
Things
or
we didn't
anything
want to
like that,
say.
right? Because she's a perfectionist, whereas I don't care. But
Yes.
so that's your thing. And then what happens is you send me the YouTube video.
Yes.
I do the promotion, but you also send me the little banner and then a couple of candid shots from the conversation. And the pictures with Dana, there was not one picture where we weren't cracking up,
Picking up. I actually
laughing.
find that relaxing, Denise, doing the editing, believe it or
Oh, I
not.
know. Oh, I know you do. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because I don't know that software. I'm all about like the audio editing. Like I
Yeah.
can edit audio like that because I've been doing it for so long, from back in the lesbian lounge days. And then once again, when we were doing the cartoons. So I'm really good at the audio editing part of it and getting that up on our just audio feed. So it's a great balance of responsibilities for us, because
Yeah.
you don't have to do the audio part and I don't have to do the video part. But
Right. Right.
I just remember getting those snapshots from when Dana was on,
So
and
true.
we laughed so much that I just got to tell people, if you're having a heavy day, if things aren't going your way and you need a little laugh or whatever, episode 154 with Dana Goldberg will
That was fun.
it'll put you
No.
in a happy place. It'll put you in a happy place. Um, and then going back even
Oh, further. Okay.
further, further, there was an episode that we did, which I think I found. Her name is Rachel Klost, and
Mhm.
she runs the Rainbow Rodeo magazine, which is a queer country artist, right? And
What episode was that?
that was Rachel's episode. That was 144,
Okay.
and I found that one really interesting because you don't. I mean, you must know as a musician that anything LGBTQ related and country don't normally mix.
No, never.
So I found what she is doing, giving those particular artists a spot, because I think it's like she's got like an online, blog where she features them, and there's clips of their music, but she gives you a little bit of background and all that. And I was
Yes.
stunned to find out just how many queer country artists there are.
Me too.
I
And
didn't
so many
even know.
men. So
Yeah,
many men. Or yeah, totally.
wow. So kudos to her for finding that little niche, spot, because again, these are things that have an impact on our community. They're, whether they are super focused, like that one is like really niche, really focused, they're
Mhm.
still making their impact in that little sector, of
Yes.
the community. And
Yes. Yes.
that's the kind of stuff I really, really
So
dig.
needed. Really so needed, especially in country music.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I mean. Like it just seems it's like it's so hush hush and frowned upon, and oh my God, and like I remember, my first even memory of hearing um gay and country was Shelley Wright.
Shelley Wright. I was just sitting here trying to think of her name, Shelby. I was thinking Shelley Wright, but
Yeah.
it really when I was recording in Nashville, one of the times I was one of the years I was there was when her book came out, and it
Hmm.
was at every airport, thing that you could that sold books.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought this is really going to open up the doors to the gay community, and it just didn't. Her career just was
Tanked,
done.
tanked.
Done. And I really thought it was going to open doors, and it didn't because she had so many hits before, prior to that,
She
that
was
I
on
thought
this like really upward trajectory, and but like I have so much respect for someone that knows that something is eating away at them and something's not right and it's holding them back creatively, and
yeah,
they got to get it out there, and that's what she did. It was a big risk.
it was a
Um,
risk.
it was a huge
And
risk because she was that year that you're talking about. She
yeah.
was the headliner at Fort Lauderdale Pride.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was the year we were just talking about with Jackie Monahan and Nicole Dementz. That was the year. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was a bright spot at that Pride Fest after everything we went we went through. But I just remember meeting her, and she was so nice, just so warm, down to earth, not snooty at all, like wasn't playing the I'm a celebrity card or anything like that.
Yeah,
And the music, like really, you could see the effect it had on people. Like, and I think a lot of people knew her story, obviously.
right.
And
By then,
yeah,
yeah.
and she was kind of like feeding off of it. I mean, this may have been, I would say, maybe the first in a very small handful of Pride Fests that she was
Yeah,
giving it a
yeah.
shot, getting out there. And I think it meant a lot to her, but I know that it meant a lot to the audience, and that was really amazing. So, thank you, uh, Rachel, for what you do for that, because that country music needs maybe a little extra boost. Like I love what Kenny does because he includes it,
Right,
but he's
right.
so broad, like he
Yeah.
listens to every genre of music. So, so between the two of them, I feel like more people are getting familiar with the underserved queer music artists,
Exactly.
out
I
there.
mean,
So
prior, it's still like that now. Like Shelby Lynn is an amazing singer, and when the rumors came out about her, they moved her over. Her people moved her into jazz and rock and blues because the rumors. I don't even know really what her sexuality is because as soon as that rumor mill started, she had some big hits in country. She
mhm.
was out. She was out of country, and Katie Lang obviously she went to mainstream top
Yeah.
40 and rock
Yep.
because she was definitely not gonna, that was in a time where it wasn't gonna cut it. But I thought maybe when Shelley Wright came out with that book, it would change things. And it still till today has not changed things in country music. It's
Really,
crazy how that hasn't changed,
really
especially with the men. The men,
hard. Yeah.
it's suicide. Like there are rumors about Kenny Chesney, but
Oh,
there have always because he was married to Renee Zellweger for like a minute, like
yeah.
literally a weekend or something.
Hmm.
Then when they got divorced, it was irreconcilable differences or something like that. Like they weren't going to talk about it. No one ever said why they got divorced. And so
Brutal.
there were still questions about him. And there were questions about Randy Travis. And he
Yeah.
married his manager, who was like, what, 25 years older than he was? So, I think it's a shame. It really is really,
It's
really
tough. And I feel
unfortunate.
like they tried so hard. Remember that TV show Nashville,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
They tried
With
with
Connie
that.
Britton, right? They tried that storyline there, and that didn't do anything, but it really did kind of give you you know, a look at, like how difficult it is. It's crazy.
But
So yeah, I think these are the people that I feel like I'm really proud that we've found them, that they were willing to come on and talk about what they do. Um,
Mhm.
and you know, it's really it's like it's important. I mean, I don't know. I feel
Not
like
their job. It's a
right.
passion. There's a need.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
advocacy, which is
yeah.
amazing.
Big
You
time,
know.
big time. And while we're doing these little things, I just want to do you remember uh Jamie Smith? She was doing the blog about rock and roll legends through a queer lens,
Oh yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Like songs that saved my life, right?
yes, yes, yes. Songs that saved my life. Yeah, that was.
Jamie's going through some big medical stuff, so I just want to send best wishes to her. She's starting a cancer journey,
Oh
yeah. So we got to send her like good vibes and
yes,
uh, and
yes.
let her know we're there, man. We're there for you.
What episode was Jamie?
Jamie was 134.
Here it is, 134. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
She was also a comedian, a
yeah,
comedy writer.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
well,
That's
oh,
where I first knew her from was
yeah,
through stand up and her passion for Prince. Those were the two things. But then when this Songs That Saved My Life came out, I was just like, that's a really cool, thing. Like again, very niche because looking at these artists, from all through history, legends all through
yep.
history, looking at their careers through a queer lens is just again one of those like where did these people come up with this stuff? It's amazing to
I
me.
love the name. Yeah, I love that name of the blog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and I don't know about you, but I feel like every time we have like a guest like that is doing something that's so unique and important, and they're so passionate about it, and they like we said they've done their homework, and this isn't their job. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm learning so much every time. Like it's just
Oh,
and it's like I like for me, and I know we talk about this all the time. The goal is to share these people, that we've met and we've managed to get on here and talk about what they're doing, share them with everybody, like
yeah.
that's the goal. So
That's the goal, right?
for
People
us,
doing that. Quite kudos for us.
kudos to
How
us.
about Kristen Key? She is tearing it up. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yes.
I can't believe how amazing she's doing. I've seen her twice so far now live. She likes to come back to Florida. She must have her
I just
lesbian
posted,
wedding.
I just saw a video of her very recently from like 3 or 4 shows ago.
Yeah.
And it was after Biden had made his announcement, and somebody yelled out, "Who should Harris pick for a VP?" And the giddy dance that she did for the question, I couldn't. I
Did
was
somebody say
cracking.
her? Did somebody say Kristen Key? Did
No,
somebody?
no, they just
Oh,
asked
oh,
who do you want, Kamala to pick, and it was just like the giddy dance about like because people were shouting all kinds of stuff out, but Pete, a lot of people have their money on Pete Buttigieg, and I would love it. Oh my God, I would love it, but I'm not sure America's ready for a woman, let alone a black woman, and then a gay vice president. Like I don't know. It's too much. I feel like it'll blow the straight people's minds. So
is she African American or she's like from the islands or something, right? Or Indian?
Pan Asian and black, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Indo-Pacific, yeah. But Kristen, the dance that she did,
I have to look
like
for
maybe
that.
she was thinking about Pete, but it was fantastic. It was just fantastic, and it was so perfectly on point, for everything that's going on right now that I had to share, like, just share the video, like, on all my platforms because it was just
I have to. How did I miss that? I'll have
I
to
don't
look.
know, but it was
You know what
really,
I
really cool.
love about her story is that she created uh, this career that she's now touring through social media because she was for 20 years a cruise ship comedian.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
now people don't go to see a comedian on the cruise ship. They go to the show, whatever the show is that night.
yeah.
Now
They
people
don't have
are
a
buying
choice. Right,
tickets.
right, right.
Right. Now people are buying tickets to see her. And she is so gracious and so appreciative of her audience that it is really, I am so happy we had her on the show in the beginning of this
It was
because
a
when we
master
had
class
her,
on social media, wasn't it? Like she literally was telling us
oh,
about
yeah,
the work that goes into that, you
God. And
know.
by herself, no team, was a
Right.
team of one like Kenny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And look at
she,
her now. Like the lesbian army is like just trouncing along behind her, you know, she's just like leading the pack.
and
And
I'm sure she's got a team now, Denise,
yeah,
doing,
I'm
you
sure.
know,
Yeah. But that's great. You know what I mean? Like that's
awesome,
good. That's the goal. But I love the
awesome.
fact that she combines music, you know,
Yes.
her quirky little songs into her, you know, it just makes it another dimension, you know. It's
Yes.
not just telling jokes. It's not just right, you know, or telling stories. There's actually little funny songs in there too. So she was episode 138.
Yeah, I was so happy we had her at the beginning of this because she hadn't toured at all yet. So it was
Right.
coming up her tour. And I keep telling her every time I go to one of her shows, we need to have you back. And she's like, keep trying, keep, don't give up, and keep writing to me. I don't have time. She doesn't have time to look at all of her DMs and stuff, So it's like,
Yeah.
she's a really cool person. Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really.
Yeah, you're right. We were lucky to get her when we did. Like
Yeah.
amazing, amazing thing. And one of the other things I wanted to talk about is last year during Pride Fest, we had a show where we talked about the importance of our LGBTQ allies. And I invited my cousin Chris.
Yes, I loved her.
Yeah,
Yes.
her and her husband Brian
So fun.
are so cool, you know, and they've got a little guy. He's like 8 now, but she was saying from the time he was a baby that every summer they would take him to Buffalo Pride because they went, you know, and so I think so last year he was like 7 or so, and they had all these videos of him so excited about being at Pride with his rainbow baseball hat and feather boa, and he was dancing alongside the people in the parade. He had like rainbow pool noodles. And I remember just like the effect that seeing those videos had on me. Like I didn't grow up, and I think we talked about this with her on the show. We didn't grow up like super close because
Mhm.
her mom was married to my cousin, my
Yeah.
second cousin. So he was like, you know, older than like 10 to 15 years older than me. Her mom was married to my cousin and they got divorced and she went to live with her mom. And
Uh,
her and her brother went to live with her mom. So I didn't get to see her as often, you know, unless there was like a big family thing and her dad, you know, had her that weekend or something, you know what I mean? So we weren't super tight like growing up, but I always kept in touch with her from the minute like she had got on Facebook because I was so excited, you know, like to see what her life was like, you know, since we had lost touch and all that kind of stuff. And that, you know, and so we were having like awesome catch ups like through Messenger, just, you know, sharing pictures and talking about family and all that kind of stuff. And when I saw those pictures from Pride, I immediately messaged her and I was like, "Oh my God, you have no idea like what this means when you come from you come from this big Italian family, you're never sure
oh,
how they really feel about everything. Yeah, they're going to accept you, they're going to
right,
feed
right.
you. You know, they're always going to feed you."
I always
So,
wonder, right?
you know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah,
always gonna
they
get
show you
fed
love
no
through
matter what.
food. But
Mm.
but I said to her like it means so much that you are raising your son, you know, to be so inclusive, like to see
Yes,
all the
totally.
parts of our community that I never saw as a kid growing up. I never saw Pride Parade. I didn't know who was gay, who wasn't. There weren't gay bars, or anything. And it just didn't hit me until I had moved to Florida, where I was exposed to so much more and was like,
Yeah.
oh, so what she's doing, with him at such a small age, it just meant the world to me. And it was just one of those things that it was like, it just dawned on me like how important it is to have those kinds of allies out there, because whether they're old or young, they're on our side, they're with us, they've got our backs, and they're raising a generation to be open and
Exactly.
inclusive. And
Right.
like I remember her telling me things like, like from the time he was little, that if he saw a kid, that was sitting alone at lunch, or that somebody was picking on or whatever, go make a friend, like that,
Oh,
needs you,
love
that,
that.
like that,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And again, you see the memes and you see the things that are out there about, like, how we raise our sons are so important. And never tell your daughter that, if a kid is picking on her or pulling her hair or something, that he likes her. Oh, he just has a crush on you.
Right.
Then she
Throwing
learned that
rocks
that
at
kind of
her.
stuff means love, and it doesn't. So
True.
it's
True.
yeah. So that was one of those shows that left me just, thinking for a long time after. So that episode with Chris was episode 128. And it was a really good one. Like, we really, went deep on how important the allyship is that's out there. And sometimes maybe we just take it for granted. Like, like you've been friends with the people that
Right.
you went to school with these people for so long, and even though you
Right.
went out to them and they accept you, it was no big deal. And you don't really think about that. But what I do, especially after that show, I was thinking about, what if they didn't? What if I,
Right.
what if I lost those friends because they weren't supportive, or they did have opinions, or, they, so yeah, it
As,
really made me
as late,
change.
it's true because as late in the game as I was in coming out, I was worried
You
that
had
I
some
would
long-standing friendships and stuff.
have
So
friends
yeah,
that might. And the thing I was worried about was maybe a little bit of, are they going to accept this me, who I am now, or always was, but now that I'm telling them? Or the other thing I was worried about was they would be saying, how come you never told me? I saw you every day, or we
yeah,
worked together so much and you never mentioned this to me.
right.
Like I thought
Yeah,
maybe that's going to get them. Like
yeah.
Judy
There's
was,
like a level of trust there that, like, they're thinking that you broke by not telling them
right.
for some reason. So yeah, it could get that's
Yeah.
sticky. That's super
I
sticky.
Absolutely. I worried about Judy, not about accepting me as
Right.
gay.
Yeah.
I worried that she was going to say, we played in a band and your girlfriend was the guitar player in that band and we went on road trips and you never said anything. I was afraid. And instead, oh my God, she was so nice. I was in tears when,
Yeah.
because I was moving into my new place and Judy was coming over. I don't know if I told you the story.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember this. Yep.
And she was she was living right nearby then, renting a place right over the bridge. So she was coming
Because this
over in
was
the,
very recent.
it's very recent, like the last few years that I told her, not the last few. And so, yes, I mean, she was with my first girlfriend and me and didn't know that we weren't more than friends, So I was afraid that she might say, how come you never told me? People could get annoyed with you, right? Like I didn't
Yeah.
know. But she just didn't know what it was that I was going to tell her because I was going through heartbreak at the time of breaking up with that person.
Yes.
So
Yes.
she's like, what is the matter with you? And I never forget, they were putting that brick wall up in my living room. I wasn't living here yet, but she was coming with me to oversee all
Yeah.
the stuff, right? And she's like, I just one day burst into tears on the phone with her over nothing that really required me, who was not a crier, bursting into tears. So she's like, you got to tell me. I said, Judy, I can't tell you on the phone. So I thought maybe she'd forget about it. So she comes over to the apartment and we're checking on the guys putting up the wall. And we had to go back to the yard to grab some more bricks because I didn't have enough of the color I needed. We drove all the way back. I never brought it up because I thought, okay, she's not going to ask me. So let me just let it go. And then she pulls me into the other room after we get back to the apartment and she goes, "You have got to tell me what is going on with you. I am so worried about you." And I burst into tears again. And she just grabbed me and hugged me. And she said, "I thought you were going to tell me you were sick. I didn't know what was wrong, why you were acting this way." I
No,
am so relieved. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I didn't know if first of all, I was upset about the breakup, but she was also, I was worried how she was going to take it. I said, "I just was afraid you would be mad at me that we went to rehearsal after rehearsal together and
yeah,
I never said anything to you." And she couldn't have been nicer. And what a relief that is. Like, you're
yeah,
right with the allies when
mhm,
we're not treated that way. And
right.
it's not the
Right.
action that we build up in our minds that we're going to get.
Do you
So,
you want to hear a funny story? Remember when we had my friend Debbie from Philly who runs Bianca's Kids, the
yeah,
children,
she's
right?
also awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was really afraid to tell them, because hardcore Italian, Philly raised, you never, you just didn't know. And this was after I had married Chuck. So
Yeah.
they Chuck and I had this all resolved. You know what I mean? Like we were good with it. I was living out of a different room. He had the master bedroom, I had the guest, and we had months and months had gone by where we had just adjusted to it. So I was like, gosh, we had told my mother, his mother, and like I said, he came with me for every conversation,
That was
every
so
con-
amazing,
every
Tim.
conversation, especially with parents, and sisters and brothers and that kind of thing. So it was really, really important. But I was like, now I'm on my own, and I not on my own, but I want to tell my girlfriends on my own. Like I don't think I need him for that. So I
Right.
invited them over, and we were hanging out, and I was a nervous wreck. Like I was clammy, I was sweating, I was like, just like, and it was her and her sister, Stephanie. So I don't think anybody else was there. I think it was just us three. And I was like, listen, you guys, I gotta tell you something. So I'm gay, and I just felt like you need to know. Like Chuck and I got this all resolved. It's all cool. First thing they were like, "Is he okay?" I'm like,
Oh,
"He's
not are you okay?
right." Like, yeah, he's fucking fine. It's about
Had the
me.
girlfriend already waiting, right? Found him. You pulled the girlfriend in.
So Stephanie, the younger one, Stephanie was like, "Oh, Din Din, I'm so happy for you. Oh, how lovely. This is gonna be a whole new
Aw.
chapter of your life." And I'm watching Debbie, and Debbie's like, "Do you ever have a crush on me?"
Ah!
I was like, "Oh, no, no. I think you guys like sisters. Are you?" And I'm stuttering, I'm stammering. I'm like, "Oh my God, I never thought that would be the reaction,
Doesn't
right?"
make you think that too, right?
So then
Like you.
she goes, "Why not?" And I'm like, What?" And she was like, "It's my fat thighs, right? My fucking fat thighs. I mean, they're such a turnoff, right? So you would never." And I'm like,
I could
"Oh
see
my
her
God."
saying that. Oh my God, I could see her saying that from the one
Oh,
time I
but
heard
yeah,
her.
we just had like so many laughs. But yeah, again, the allyship thing is just it's incredibly important. And sometimes we do take it for granted when we shouldn't, and we're older, and we have these long-standing friendships. I'm still friends with people that I went to grade school, middle school, and I think I told them, when I went back home for something, because I wasn't, after I moved to Florida, I wasn't super, super close, but a little bit, we
Yeah,
talk on the phone every now and then. When those long distance calls didn't matter if you were calling after five.
right.
But yeah, so yeah, we had a lot to lose, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and then it
Yeah.
was funny that making me think we had this. Remember when we had Carrie on? my
Well,
friend
I was just
Carrie,
going to bring her up. Yeah, that
right?
made me think of her. Yeah.
Carrie came out as a bisexual about 3 or 4 years after. She was a coworker of mine that we worked together for 3 years behind the bar at the pub. And I used to share all these stories with her from pride festivals and women fests and all that crazy stuff that was going on and from like the 2000s, let's say. And then which was funny because I always felt like I was this grandparent, telling the younger generation how cool we were back then, and now I'm just an old married cat lady. And so but she used to love it, like, you know what I mean? Like, because we always were on Monday nights together, which is the slowest night in any hospitality, whatever you're in, is Monday nights are the
Imagine
worst, right?
that. Yeah.
So it was cleaning night. So we'd have to take all the bottles off all the shelves and wash all the
Oh,
bottles, wash all the shelves, all
oh,
that kind of
wow.
stuff, right? Wash all the glasses,
Happened. Okay. That happens in the
so
bar.
right? So boring that she would literally ask me questions, just constantly asking questions, like just everything. When did you know? How did you know? How did your mom take it? What did you go through? What was it? Was you told? Didn't think anything of it. Was just happy to share and that somebody was like okay with it and all that. And remind you, I think at that time she was like 21, I think just 21. And so then here we are 3 years later, and we still keep in touch, even though the bar's closed and we've got, other things going on and all that. She's had a baby. So, right. So we still catch up over WhatsApp and she'll come over every once in a while. And so one day I get this, random text message, like, hey, gotta tell you something. So I'm bisexual. And I was like, oh, wow. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see that coming in a million years. I mean, just not in a million years. Never saw it coming. So, so then from there, we are just having all these conversations and everything. And I thought, what a cool thing if we
Yeah.
had her on to talk about her experience because,
Great. Yeah.
yeah, like everything's so different now, like the work's been put in. I mean, we got a long way to go, but the work's been put in where people don't feel as nervous,
Yeah.
they're so much more open to questioning themselves, like their sexuality, their identity, how they identify, their fluidity, all that kind of stuff. And I just thought, let me just ask her if she would come on, and she said
Yeah.
yes. And then we were able to talk about all that with her. And I just found it really interesting because, I have this weird thing where I still think of myself as I did when I was like in my late 20s,
Yeah.
you know, and nothing's changed. But then I just have moments, like with Carrie where I realize everything has changed. You
Oh,
know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just wanted her to come on and talk a little bit about what it was like, for her and what things she was super nervous about, which was really funny because she was like, well, who asks who and who pays the bill and how do I break the ice, So it was a
That the
super
girl
fun.
she was talking to at the time that she was on social media. I
Yeah.
mean, on a dating app
She
that was.
right. She was on a
Oh,
dating app then.
did you ever catch up with her? Did you ever hear from that girl? She was being ghosted and asking us what to
She
do.
did. She wasn't ghosted. She found out that the girl's work schedule had changed, and she
Oh,
was
okay.
like super busy, so she hadn't gotten back to her. I don't think they ever went on a date, but I
Uh-huh.
think they moved it over to like WhatsApp, so they were just
Oh,
kind of chatting as friends.
uh-huh.
Um, and then I think the last we had talked about it, she kind of had an interest in some woman, but she didn't want to do anything because they worked together.
Oh, oh, okay.
I didn't even question that. I was just like, yeah, maybe like don't shit where you eat, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was super that was a super super good show because
It was.
I feel like the B in LGBTQIA gets overlooked a lot, and they
All
take
the time.
right
Yeah.
and they so take their share of shit from the rest of the community, and lesbians being like biphobic, like, oh my God, now I got to worry about her liking a man too, like,
Right, right.
so
Yeah.
they do get like the shit end of the stick. So yeah, it was a really interesting show. So Carrie was on our episode 124. And I want to note that we had a great discussion with Michelle Clooney from Queer as Folk.
Yeah, she was great. She was
That was
awesome.
that was the episode 123, like right before Carrie's. And we never expected that show to go on an hour and a half.
I was starstruck because, as you know, I'm still watching Queer as Folk from 25 years ago. So,
Exactly. But Michelle, I mean,
now,
she was so open about
yes,
everything, motherhood, politics, what things were like back then, like her experience with the QAF, with all of them. And we just went down every windy, curvy path with
oh
her. There
yeah,
was nothing that was off limits. And I was so, um, like I met her before, and we always stayed friendly through social media. So I wasn't sure if she would say yes, but I think because she's got so much to bring to the table.
yeah, oh
She's
yeah,
she's a mom. She's raising a kid on her own. She's still in the industry. Everybody was backpedaling because of COVID at the time. But she's so politically active that I mean, I just remember thinking, I don't even know where to start. With her, like, there's
yeah.
so many questions, so much fun. So that was episode 123, and I feel like we nailed that one. Didn't we nail that one? That was a good one.
And also, we had Sharon Gless and Scott Lowell from Queer as Folk on.
That was
That was
so
another starstruck episode for me.
that was super fun and that was episode 114. And we had Scott on to talk about Adoptable, his YouTube's comedy series, which I absolutely loved.
Mhm.
And we had arranged through Dawn LaFrida on the DL to have Sharon just call in and surprise Scott, which
That
was,
was awesome.
yeah, so that was super fun because then we did get to hear about her summer plans to take the QE2 across the Atlantic from England and be here for her big birthday. And so yeah, that was just what a good time that was. That was really
I
good.
saw them on Facebook because I follow Dawn, and I don't think Sharon has a Facebook page. I think it's her fan pages, but fans have pages for her.
Yes.
And I saw them on that trip, and she said that Barney was going to meet her at the other
Yeah. Yes.
shore with the roses for her birthday, and I believe that happened also. You know who else we had on that was super fun? Katie Marie, the drummer for Sophie B. Hawkins. What
Yes.
an amazing person she is.
Yeah.
Such a multi-talented musician. Like
Another
she's
one
not
that's making that
a
name
drummer.
for herself through social media and doing Facebook
Yes.
Lives, and
Yep, yep.
that's just it's fantastic. And I love that she's British and she's living in Texas with her wife.
Yes. That's the opposite of
So
you.
misplaced. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, she was a banger. That was a good one.
Her wife is like she's a backup singer, and she sings harmony with her sometimes, but she does all of her original music on that show every Tuesday.
Yeah.
And she still plays with Sophie B, when she goes on the road. But she plays guitar, she plays piano, she's engineering her own CD, producing
Yeah.
her own
Yeah, she's
CD.
super
Doesn't
talented.
mean album. I'm still saying CD.
I know. But yeah, she is. She's super, super talented. I just saw Sophie B. Hawkins is writing her memoirs,
Oh,
just so you
oh,
know.
she's
Um,
interesting too.
yeah, big
Her on
time. And then Melissa Farrick. Oh
Oh
my God,
yeah, always wanted to meet Melissa. Yeah,
that
that was awesome.
was, and again, when I say that we learn from our guests, it's
I did.
absolutely no joke. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like, oh my God, we seriously learned so much from her about when music changed, like how to get your music out there when,
Oh yeah.
Like, I
She's
mean,
really a realist about the music
she's
business
so
from an
indie,
indie
man. She's
perspective.
super.
I know she had her own record deal and everything with Atlantic. I think it was Atlantic Records, but she was when CD Baby came out. I mean, I always wanted to meet her because CD Baby was a place to be if you had independent music. It was an online record distributor, and I'm still on there because they put you on all the digital platforms like
Right.
Apple, iTunes, and everything. But she was the number one seller on CD Baby for a really long time.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I love to, who is she? You know, like I hadn't known her music.
Yeah, yeah,
So, as a fellow indie person, I was always in awe of everything she did
yeah.
with her career as an independent artist.
And then to
So,
want to be a
yeah,
teacher,
and then
you
go
know,
on to be a teacher.
right?
And
It's
she
like
was
it's
also
crazy.
so down to earth, like so cool. Again, I was starstruck, and she was like, "Come
Yeah.
right with me," because I'm like, I always wanted to go to Boston, and she's like,
Yes,
I haven't ever been to Boston. I don't know why. It's not like it's so far to go to, but
exactly.
she's like, "Come right with me." That was a cool episode too. And
Super
Amy T.
cool.
I always wanted to meet Amy
Really
T.
super inspiring again.
So yeah.
Melissa Ferrick was way back, episode 81.
Wow. When I
Yeah,
think about we have 181 episodes under our belt,
it's
just to give
crazy to me.
us a little spotlight, when I was on Women on a Roll, Women on the Net, um, Women on a Roll, I think is the name of the show.
The original, right?
Uh, the the
Andrea.
Andrea's the one that started it. But then when I was on the show, the host of that show said to me, "I love." First of all, she was very impressed with the fact that we consistently put out shows every week. We have such a consistency to our look. She was like, "Not everyone does that. That's such a successful way to do a podcast." But at that time, I think we had 100 and we worked around 160 shows. And she's like, I get my information about the LGBTQ plus community through the Rainbow Remix. She goes, I just turn on, she listens to us all the time.
Oh my
And she said
God.
that she um, just loves that we're her go-to to what's happening with the game changers and the people in the art that's happening in the industry. So I mean in the community. So that was really nice to hear that,
Yeah, big
because
time.
it was
Big
like,
time.
wow, thank you. That meant so much to me.
Yeah.
Really, I think I hung up and texted you. And I mean, I think I finished that show and texted
Yeah.
you right
Yeah.
away that she said that because that was a great shout out,
Yeah.
for
And
her to say,
I think what's cool is that we don't have a what's the word? We don't I mean anybody, we're not just about the lesbians. We're not just about, we've had trans men on. We had Kiowa on, right? We had
yes,
we've had gay men. We've had Frank DeCaro. We've had Robert Boo. But
oh, yes, Scott Galvin with the schools.
Galvin's, yeah. So, I think that, it being inclusive doesn't feel like you're doing something special, because it's just what you do. And I just feel like if we didn't include everyone, we wouldn't have a lot of shows,
Yeah,
like, but the fact that we're broad, man. We include everyone that's doing something. And the bottom line to everything that people are doing, aside from it being important and impactful and fun, is that it's always positive. You know what I mean? Like, I
yes,
don't want,
yes,
we see enough sad stuff, like just scrolling, like, doom scrolling or whatever,
absolutely.
headlines and the murders and all that kind of stuff, and hurricanes and typhoons and everything, that, like, when someone does come on, like, we've already made sure that this person's got a story and it's going to be positive, it's going to be inspiring,
Exactly.
you know
Right.
and like I said, I feel like we learn from every guest that
We,
that we have. When I think of the things that Robert Boo was doing back when I had him on, they were in the middle of that huge project. And this was like episode 90. and he's in South Florida. He's the director of the Pride Center for at Equality Park, which is our, kind of like our community center type thing. And the project that he was working on was that $15 million whatever gay senior living
Right.
thing,
Yes.
that is
Yes.
now done and so successful. And but everything he does for the community, whether it's vaccinations, when the monkeypox thing was going around, when
Oh, yeah.
COVID
Yeah.
hit, and just in general, the stuff they do with AIDS and awareness and all that kind of stuff. Like every program and service that they offer is just like a diamond for the community. It's just a gem.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's a big community, and they're never lacking in programs and services. And it comes down to him. I mean, he's the one that has
Tired.
tireless work, tireless, and the donors, I mean, he's always out there wooing donors, the angel donors and the people, like
Oh, yeah.
that's what they do, like the fundraising and stuff that they do. So he's so impressive. So that was one of those shows again that I felt like I learned a lot from him and what he's doing in South Florida, where it's so needed right now. Like everything is stacked against every queer person in South Florida, in Florida, like alone. So yeah, I think that that one was pretty special. And like I said, Frank DeCaro, comedian, author, used to be on The Daily Show. And he was so quick to jump when I asked him,
Oh,
to come
great.
on. He
Love
is
Yeah.
another one that is so giggly, stupid, funny. We had such a good time with him too. And so yeah, and Frank was 78, episode 78. So even like just going back, like when I think about you having to make these best of shows, I don't envy you. I don't.
It's tough. I'll tell you, even when I pick, like, okay, best of the women, best of the comedians, like we had Julia Scotti on. She was so funny. What a great show that was, Julia Scotti.
That was another one. One of those stories that you're just like, wow, who decides to transition that late in
Right?
the game with such a successful career
Yes.
and then make a
Yeah,
documentary about it? Oh my God. Yeah, but
totally.
she was fun. She was super fun too.
Yeah, it's very hard to do the best ofs because where do you start, and like where do you pick? Because
And
you
you
only
gotta
want
sit through
certain
like an
parts.
hour. Yeah, and sit through an hour to find the peak bits. You know what I mean?
Right,
And you
exactly.
can't just throw it in
Exactly.
there with no context. It's like you need a little bit of
No.
context, but yes,
Yeah.
I don't envy that. And it's really hard to pick, the best part of a 1 hour conversation. But like I tell you, you know, I if you think of it as like making reels where you're
Yeah.
doing, a minute to 2 minutes, and just finding like a big laugh, a funny sentence or whatever, and like do, like it's got to be a little bit fun, it's
It is
got to be a
fun.
little bit fun,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I'll sit
Yeah.
there going, wow, that was a fun show. Oh, that
Yeah.
was a great time. I forgot how great that show was. Like, yeah, like I'll just be sitting there thinking, and most of the time when I'm done, I think we have a really, if I could pat ourselves on the back again, a really good show.
Yeah.
And it's just something that just needs to get out more to the masses. I'm going to start working on that. I just got an app for that, and a course I'm taking. It's a
You
third
are
course on how to get,
brilliant.
you know, because social media, it's like you meet, I do, because I have this with my music. You can reach the world, but it's a needle in a haystack sometimes. It's overwhelming. How
Yeah.
do you
Oh
reach
my
the people
God.
that
When
are
I
going to
think
be
about what it
listening?
was like in 2006, where we were one of like 30 gay
Yeah,
podcasts that were out there, no one knew what the word meant, you know. And then like I said before, I think like everybody and their dog, and I'm not joking when I say that, and their dog had a podcast during COVID. Like
yes,
every celebrity that couldn't work was doing a podcast, and
yeah.
everybody that was just bored were like, shit, this was easy. I'm gonna start a podcast. And then they all
Yeah.
dropped. but we're still left with over 200 million podcasts
Wow.
floating out there on, I want to say something like 2,500 different apps,
Yeah.
platforms, and some, are always going to be a hit. If it's a celebrity, they got built-in sponsors and they got, and I always say, oh my God, why can't they just stay in their fucking lane, go back to
I
movies? It's
agree.
not fair.
Yes.
Like we've worked so hard. We've been
Yeah.
indie for so long. We don't ask people for money. We don't have a donate button. We don't have a
Right.
Patreon thing. We do this because we love it. It's if it ever takes off, great. If it doesn't, we're still gonna keep doing it. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's so I like that we're in it not for the money. Like,
Right.
we're
Me
one of the
too.
we're
Right.
the two people in 200 million podcasts that are available
Don't ask for money
that don't do it for money and never
or
will
ask for money.
or ask for money. Exactly. What we ask is for the posts and the likes and the shares and the
Yes.
engagement and the word of mouth, and comments and stuff like that. Like that's what we ask is for the engagement and telling one of your queer friends about it and letting them see if it's something they like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what
Yeah.
was fun about doing this show tonight, and we'll wrap it up here, is that we've kind of given you, the best of our entire library, the best, what,
Big
and
time. Yeah.
we're missing so many people. Like you said, we've done
Oh,
181 shows and we just
yes.
talked about 25 of them. You know what I mean? But there's so much more on there. That chat with Jill Bennett just recently, back in May, about
Oh, yeah.
Under the Influencer, was a master class in micro budget filmmaking that
Totally.
could change
Totally.
the landscape of independent filmmaking. So that was another good one. Like I said, top of the
Kiowa's story. Kiowa's
I was
story was
it was really good. Yeah. So I think, um, it, like I always said, like I don't feel like we had success with the lesbian lounge for the first 3 years. So now we're rolling into the third year. So
so the
fingers
pressure's
crossed,
on.
man. Fingers crossed. Year three is always a
Pressure
good
is
one.
on.
Yeah.
This is the year. This is the year.
That's what I want to. That's what I'm thinking. Also, I just want to share this little tidbit with you. I saw today on my social media. This has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. And when I say nothing, I mean absolutely nothing. So I saw this. I just want to share this with you. Ice at Gaylord.
Oh, it's starting again.
It's
And it's
L.
Elf. Last year it was Charlie Brown, right?
Yes. So I've already said to Rick, I know you wanted to go to St. Augustine. I know. But Elf is my mother's favorite Christmas movie of all
Oh, okay.
time. We watch it every year. We know every line. Well, she doesn't anymore, but I remind her
Oh,
she knows every line. But so I showed that to Rick, and he was like, "Oh my God, your mother's gonna go nuts." And I'm like, "I think we got to do this maybe instead of St.
that's
Augustine." And he said,
awesome.
"No, you know what? We're gonna do both when you
I
come.
love Rick. Everyone needs a Rick. You're so fortunate.
We're gonna do Christmas old time in St. Augustine 2 nights and 2 nights at
Oh,
Gaylord Home."
wow.
Yeah.
He is the man, Rick.
National Lampoon's Family Christmas Vacation once again.
Is that is that what's in St. Augustine? The old fashioned Christmas? They do an old fashioned
Old Town is a pretty
Old Town.
spectacular thing in St. Augustine at Christmas time. Yeah, it's a big deal. So we're gonna do that, and then I think Orlando's like half an hour away or whatever. So we can do both. He said we could do
Oh,
both. Rick
cool. I
said,
love Rick.
God,
I want to go on vacation with Rick.
I know. So here's to you, friend, for making all the best of videos
I
because
will be at work doing
I
it.
know because we're gonna need a few. Like I have 6 teeth getting pulled tomorrow, 3 on each side on the
Oh,
cap.
man,
So
that will
I
be.
gotta let those heal up before I can figure out how I'm gonna sound, talk, look, all that kind of stuff. Um, while this dental journey begins for
I'll
getting.
be thinking of you.
So we're gonna
Best of the best.
drop in some best ofs while I recover and recoup and figure out what the next steps are. But I think we've given people a lot of information on what they could be listening to and watching
Yes.
um, in the meantime. So maybe that gives you, this will give you a week to put together the first one or two. And it's like, it's dealer's choice, baby.
I'll pick a theme for each one. I'm not sure yet what it'll be, but it'll be
Yeah, you
maybe
can
a
go back as far as you want. It doesn't have to be this year, it doesn't have to be this pride. You can go back through the archives and pick like the good stuff. So yeah, I trust you on that. I'll be laid up. Of course, not drugged because it's the UK and they don't give out drugs
I
for that kind of thing.
know. That's really a good thing, actually. But,
A
you
lot of
know.
ice and a lot of Tylenol and a lot of old people soft food.
There
Milkshakes from Five Guys. That's what I'm gonna be doing. I'll be like fucking
you go.
so fat when I
Guilt
get there.
free. There'll be guilt milkshakes because
Yeah,
it's medicinal. It's medicinal.
medicinal. Yeah, I'll be like fucking fat as an airplane when I actually get there. All right, my friend, good catch up. I'm glad
Well,
we
it's
had a
been
chance to do
great,
this.
and good luck with the dental. I'll be in touch.
Okay.
I'll be.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
See you
Bye.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. My addiction. And I confess, my addiction is you. Don't ask me why I'm here tonight. I had to take this midnight drive to find you. And as I come in through the door, I see her dancing on the floor beside you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're passion is you. Why do you run? Why do you run?